YouTube, my name is Zach and I'm here with another review for you, and I wanted to review the Google Pixel 3a. So I've had the Google Pixel 3, I've had it for quite a while. My wife and I have both used it, and I also have the Google Pixel 3a right here in front of you. So I was excited because I really wanted to help you, especially now with the Google Pixel 4 coming out. You know, you might be deciding between the Google Pixel 4, the 3a, or the Google Pixel 3. So I did make a Google Pixel 3 review, and you could see that. I should have a link that should pop up on the screen or some type of box pop up to where you can take a look at that review. So that's one thing. If you want to compare this, I will have the Google Pixel 3 in this video. In fact, I'll show it to you now. So I've got my cute baby right there. So with that being said, I do want to do a little bit of comparison with this, so you will see a little bit of comparing between the two devices. So I'll make sure to do that for you so that you can make a good informed decision on if you want to buy. So let's first get started with this Google Pixel 3 by just taking a look at it. So first off, you could see there. Now keep in mind, I've been using it for a while. There might be a little dirty there, but you could see here you have a USB-C port. Now you don't have anything else in the bottom, you just have these little speakers here, but you can see up top the Google Pixel 3a does have a headphone jack, which is a huge bonus. Now there's, on the right side of the phone, you do see, I'll show you here, you do see the volume rocker, you see the power button as well. And as far as the SIM card slot, I will say that is on the left hand side right here, so sort of difficult to see here in the lighting, but you do have it on the left side here. So I'll say this phone, one thing I'm glad to see is a headphone jack. It is not in the Google Pixel 3, so, and it will not be in the Google Pixel 4. So if you are deciding between the Google Pixel 4 and you're deciding between the 3a and the 3, that is a big deal, right? Is to have that headphone jack. So I want to go over this display. You know what? You could see probably in the video, it looks really nice, and honestly, from my experience, I just want to tell you, I did not even notice that the display was any different than the Google Pixel 3. So I actually looked around at other videos, other people telling me that the display is actually a little bit worse in some ways, and it's just, I guess, the type of panel and stuff like that that they used. You know, it's not maybe quite as bright, but you know, the display is nice. It's 2220 by 1080 on that resolution. So to put that in, you know, good terms for it, I mean, it's a good resolution on the display. It looks really nice. You know, it looks really clear. If I go do some reading, let's say I love to read the news, I love to read tech news, love to stay on top of that stuff for you, and just various things going on. So if I just go and read some news, you can see it comes up and it's just nice and clear on the display. It looks really nice, so that's a really handy thing, especially if you do a lot of reading on your device. So even though it is a smaller device, you might not use it for a ton of in-depth reading. It just looks nice as far as the display goes. Very happy with it. So yeah, not a lot of problems with the display. I know it's pretty often in my reviews, I review some really good devices. So you know, unless you're just crazily picky, there might be a device out there that has a slightly better display. But for $400 to get this display, it's great. And it's very close to the Google Pixel 3 display. I don't want to say it's better, but it definitely is close. So again, for that $400 price tag, it's half the price of all these flagship phones, and you get a fantastic looking display. So I don't see a lot to complain about. Now the 3a is 5.6 inches on the screen, so it might be a little small for you. So you might want to consider at that point, you know, if you do want a bigger phone, there is a 3a XL, which you could spend about $80 more on and get that. So you can get that for $479 typically starting out. So if you are wanting a bigger phone, just spend the extra $80, I'd say. You'll get a little bigger battery that way too. So that might be worth it for you. Now, you will see I do have a screen protector on, by the way, so as we're talking about the display, keep in mind, it does have a little bubble here as far as that. So that's not normal for the display, no defect or anything like that. So next, outside of the display, I want to talk about performance. So this is one place where this phone has gotten a bad rap, is performance. Now people will talk about how it has a mid-range processor, how it's the Snapdragon 670, it's a mid-range processor. Well, you might not realize, but if you look at benchmarks, and I won't post them here, it is 90% of the speed of the Google Pixel 2. So the Google Pixel 2 did use the Snapdragon 835, and this Snapdragon 670 is about 90% of the speed of that. So you might not realize that, but you could see as far as performance, it is buttery smooth. I'm just going through, speeding through, and it is just lightning fast. I don't have any issues at all with performance. So if you're worried about performance and stuff like that, honestly, there's no reason to be worried about it, because it is very fast. It goes very quickly. And yeah, like if you compare this to the Pixel 3, so the next thing I want to look at is performance. Does this device perform up to its expectations or potential? So for $400, you're getting a Snapdragon 670, which is considered a mid-range processor. Now, some people say, well, it's a mid-range processor, so it's probably going to be slow or things like that. Look, the Snapdragon 670 in this, the processor in it, it is 90% as fast as the Google Pixel 2. So if you look at benchmarks between this processor and the Google Pixel 2 processor, you'll see this phone is about 90% as fast. So that is really good news for you if you're looking for a budget-friendly phone with good performance, because you could see it's very smooth. I don't really have a lot of issues with performance. So if I pull things up like the Best Buy app and I'm going through and maybe I quickly go out of it, quickly open up the settings, and then I quickly go out, things are nice and smooth, right? Things are very smooth. So I definitely don't have a lot of issues with performance. So I mean, the easiest way to put it is it performs very well for the money. So you're only going back about one generation as far as performance goes. So the latest and greatest phones right now, yes, they have the Snapdragon 855, but the Google Pixel 3, it has the Snapdragon 845, and this phone, it performs one generation before that. So you're not that far behind as far as processing speed. Performs very admirably and very quick. So for your average person, who doesn't understand what a Snapdragon is and has no idea what a processor is, this is a really great way to get into that mid-range market, to get a really good performing phone without paying $800, without paying $1,000. So if you're trying to find a good phone with a really good camera, by the way, which we'll get into that, but you're trying to find a good phone that performs well, that does what you need to do, and you don't want to spend $800-900. Like, this phone fits that niche perfectly, so you don't have to do a lot of worrying or anything like that. It seems to perform quite admirably. Now one thing I like to look at is the speakers, and when we talk about, I know we already went over the display, but I want you to just get a quick picture of what the speakers sound like, and also what type of picture you could expect from this device.
Antonio Brown is not there just to produce on the field. He's there to help other guys along as well. You gave him $30 million in guaranteed dollars. Okay, you got this kid, Darren Waller, at your tight end. Terrell Williams as the other wideout and what have you. Derek Carr still has some maturation to experience.
So it's pretty good sound. I would say it's pretty loud. It's louder than what I would expect when you're talking about fitting a a budget phone, right, at a good price. You're trying to fit a good price and a good package into that price, but a lot of times they make sacrifices in these phones. But honestly, I thought it sounded great, and it does sound great, and there's not a lot of big issues with the speakers. And like I said, the display is really good. It's not quite as good as the Google Pixel 3, but it is much better than I normally see in a $350, $400 phone. So you'll get crisp videos, you'll get a great rich looking display, so it's easy to see, it's easy to read, and you could always blow things up if you're having trouble seeing things as well. So I know some people are maybe new to smartphones, they're looking to find something that they could you could see, you could read a little easier. If that's the case, just go straight to your settings, and you can go to your display settings. And one thing is, you do have font size and display size. I already turned up my display size. You could turn up your font size as well. Just click your home button and you're back at it. So how good is the camera in this device? What's the camera like? Well, I'll tell you the whole purpose of this phone. And Google didn't release a purpose statement or anything like that, but I could tell you the purpose of this phone was really to put an $800 camera in a $400 phone. So they took the camera from the Google Pixel 3, basically almost everything the same. In fact, photos came out 90+% as good as the Google Pixel 3. And when they did side-by-side tests, most of the time no one noticed a difference in those photos. So really, this phone is taking the Google Pixel 3 camera, which was considered the best in the market, and there might be some competition at this point. I haven't seen many cameras better, but it takes the Google Pixel 3 camera and puts it in this $400 phone. So you're going to get one of the best cameras on the market today in a $400 phone. Now, what I just showed you there, and I'll go back. If you go to your camera and you go to more, this phone also does have night sight. So when you hold it somewhere and you press that button, you hold your phone still, and what it does is it collects all the light and tries to brighten up your photo for you. So that's a pretty cool feature, that even when you're in dark conditions, you could try to brighten up your photos by using that software. You also have portrait mode, panorama, camera, video, and of course these other cool little things that you'll see here. So honestly, this camera is fantastic. I don't need to spend a lot of time on it because it is one of the best cameras that is out. So when you're thinking about, I want to get a phone with a good camera, it just needs to perform. This phone honestly is going to perform better than, it is better in fact, when you think of the Galaxy S10e. The Galaxy S10e is an expensive phone. It's more expensive than the Google Pixel 3, or at least it was at launch. And currently, this phone still has a better camera. So honestly, I would definitely recommend this phone. And one of the reasons why is you get such a good camera at such a cheap price. Now, battery life in this phone, which I'm very surprised about. This phone has a little bit of a bigger battery than the Google Pixel 3. So the battery life is actually surprisingly good. So it's a 3,000 milliamp battery. The Google Pixel 3 actually had a smaller battery. Yet, even though the Google Pixel 3 was 2,915 milliamps, despite there only being a less than 100 milliamp difference, you're like, well, what the heck does that mean? It's surprisingly better. So I don't know if it's the software. It could be the hardware, like the processor and other things, taking less battery. But this is a really good battery life. So I've lasted all day. Even with heavy usage, I last through most of the day. Now, it's not going to be like a powerhouse like the Moto G7 Power or some phone with a huge, ridiculous battery, but it definitely lasts me through the day, even with, relatively strong usage. So I would say this phone definitely has a good battery life as well. But the big thing this phone is missing, when you're comparing it to a phone like the Google Pixel 3, it's missing just a couple features. It's missing wireless charging, and it's missing water resistance. So if you're looking for a phone with water resistance, if you're like me, I have a baby right now, and this baby sometimes throws up, and it's nasty or spits up, it can get on your phone. Well, that's not a great thing to have when you have, a phone like this that isn't water resistant, right? So, the big plus of the Google Pixel 3 is that water resistance. So that's just one thing I did want to mention for you. But as far as that, I mean, personally, I don't really use wireless charging, so most people wouldn't notice. You can't put it on those wireless chargers where you just sit it down. Most people don't use those, so that's not really a big deal. So, should you get this phone? Again, just depends on who you are. Now, like I mentioned this before, and I want to do a quick side-by-side here. You could see between the Google Pixel 3, there's only just a little bit of difference. There's 1-inch difference in the screen. So if you're trying to decide between these two phones, now I do have a custom launcher on it, that's why it looks a little different, but if you're trying to decide between these two phones and you're saying, okay, should I get the Google Pixel 3 or should I get the Google Pixel 3a? Well, I would say for most people, if it's the same price, there's just a little bit of a smaller battery in this, but outside of that, everything's about the same. Now, you do lose a headphone jack in this, so if you need a headphone jack, you have to get the Google Pixel 3a or the 3a XL. But if you don't need a headphone jack, if they're about the same price, then just go get the Google Pixel 3. It does have a slightly smaller battery, but it is faster. It does have water resistance. It does have wireless charging. But if it's $100 or $200 difference, even like let's just say it's a $200 difference, then at that point in time, you might as well get the Google Pixel 3a if you're almost anyone on the planet. Because like I said, most people, they just want a fast phone. They're not worried about the processor and the specs and this and that. And outside of not being able to wirelessly charge and like put it on a wireless charging pad, this phone right here, it has a headphone jack. It has good speed. It has the same camera practically as this phone. And it's just slightly slower than the Google Pixel 3. So it's not a huge difference. So when it comes down to it, I would recommend the Google Pixel 3a almost every time. And when you look at prices, you will see here and there, Best Buy, maybe through your carrier might have a sale on this. Right now you can get this for $400 for Verizon. So at a point like this, you could activate this with Verizon for about $350. It's very close. So it's very close call at that point, right? Because this is on sale. This has a headphone jack. It has a little better battery. This has a better display. This has water resistance. So hopefully that helps you make a decision. I would say 9 times out of 10, this is not going to be the same price as this, and it'll be an easy call for most people, I think, to get the Google Pixel 3a. But, if you are a person that wants the latest and greatest, you need wireless charging, you need those little features, and you don't care about a headphone jack, the Google Pixel 3 is the way to go. So please like and subscribe to my channel. I am begging you. I am new to this, and I would absolutely love to get things off the ground. So please like and subscribe. Also check out my other Google Pixel 3 review. That would be great for you so you can compare and think things over. And also, please go to our website as well, AndroidDigest.com. We would love your support, and please give us a like on Facebook at facebook.com/TheAndroidDigest. And those are some great ways to support us. Thank you all so much, and we hope you have a fantastic day.